Let's try. We've got to rate the season, people. Out of 10. Could do it.
Where do we begin?
Well,
What, the Premier League first?
let's just do the Premier League first. It's the bread and butter. It's the main one. And maybe we can end on some highs. Okay, the Premier League. Turkish, I'll go over to you.
Premier League.
Some reasoning as well. Let's really get into the meat and depth of this.
Premier League. This is probably the most difficult of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm honest with you.
Not wasting time.
I'd probably say finish second, some way off. Best of the rest, doesn't mean much. Expectation was to win it. Came well short of that. I'm going 2-3 out of 10. 2.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
He said it's going to be the hardest.
I'm going 2-3 out of 10. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Let's not laugh, because last time you said that about a sign.
You lot have just asked me to be in depth. I've been thinking about it for 30 seconds, weighing it up, and then you laugh as soon as I say 2-3.
No, do you know why I'm laughing? Because I know roughly what others are thinking, and I'm just waiting for you to say 2, which is probably fair. But I'm just waiting for you two to go at it. Robbie, before we get more turns, Robbie, what are you giving it?
I'm going to get a 6 out of 10.
I think we should just leave the video and let them two.
They were going to go at it again.
Just gonna argue. There's no point us being on the rest of this video.
Why?
Well, because
You want
one's
to-
giving it a 6 and the other's giving it a 2.
Well, I'm giving it a 6 as well.
Okay,
What are you
I'll
going to give it?
4.
You've been in the sun a bit
I
too
genuinely
long.
sit in between.
I'll give it a 6 because of the injuries that we had and everything like that. To still come second, you got to think that's because a lot of other teams capitulated. Arsenal didn't. They kept in there, not challenging, but kept themselves up there, like, you know, with a lot of injuries, a lot of things like that. But I ultimately agree with Turkish. It wasn't where we wanted to be, and it the one thing that I might even go 5 because.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change mine to a 5.
Yeah, because we didn't challenge for the title at any stage this season.
I'm going to change mine to. I was going 6, but when I think about it, I'm going to go 5, and the reason being is, on the one hand, the amount of injuries that Arsenal had this season, I really don't think any team could have won the title with that amount of injuries to key players. Like, the amount of players that were out for. I was just chatting to that United guy, and he was going, "Oh, the injuries we've had." I was going, "You ain't had nowhere near it." Arsenal have had the most injuries of any team, 27. Right, they've had the most serious injuries, like long-term injuries that keep players out for ages. So, like Saka being out for ages, Ben White, Marino. I mean, you can go. There's a whole list going way down, like long-term injuries. Havertz, Jesus, all these players. I just don't think you can sustain a title challenge with that. So that's why, you know, if it weren't injuries and the season would have been where it was, I'd understand the 2-3 and stuff like that. But because of those injuries, that has to be taken into account. Where I'm marking it down from a 6 now to a 5 is that they could have at least made an attempt in January to try and do something. In January, that January transfer window, if we would have had our full team, I'd be able to, you know, for most of the season, I'd have been able to judge it better, but we didn't. And that's the reality of it.
I'll land on 3.
Yeah, fine.
Just
Go on.
No, that's it.
No.
I'll land on 3.
Okay. What makes
Why?
it,
What's the
What,
why
what
3?
makes it a bit better than 2?
I mean, it's fine margins.
Yeah.
And that's the injuries Lee and Robbie have talked about. And I'll accept that. The injuries have been a lot of bad luck involved, but I do think, you know, maybe even half of them, you could argue that it was coming considering the workload of the previous 2 seasons, and that's where off the pitch, you know, it's a balance, these ratings, because like Robbie said, January, the window is also part of the season, and that window was a 0 out of 10. So in January, if I'm looking at the season so far and I'm saying 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, that January hits it hard. But I'm going to land on 3 just about because I feel like there's, you have to
consider
overall in the end, innit?
You have to consider, Turkish, right? Other teams that had horrendous injuries, right? I remember we had the worst, right? So it's a team like Tottenham. They had it not been for the relegated sides being so bad, they probably could be, you know, going down this season. The same with Manchester United, so who also had you know, and not even as many injuries or nowhere near the serious injuries that we had. So That has to be taken into account, but it was a 0 window because we did 0. You know what I mean? So it can only be a 0.
That was
window.
A big disappointment for that. I actually felt, I still do, feel let down.
The league season wasn't fine. The injuries, I completely agree with you all on. But there is something to be said, and this is not this isn't something I'm happy about. I think it's just it's an acknowledgement. There's something to be said for, we are so disappointed with our league campaign, but we weren't ever really in a top 4 race. Yeah, we were never in the title race. We were never really in a top 4 race either. We were always kind of clear of that. And with all the injuries, and as bad as we felt like the team in the league, we finished second. Now, that's not, again, that's so far from where we wanted to be. I acknowledge that. But it's also like, okay, if that's as bad as it gets, then at least the team has somewhat raised their floor in some way. And that is something, no? Or am I just being delusionally positive?
No, I think you're right.
I think you're right. I think the other thing I'd mark where that scores low marks for us this season is the style of play.
Yeah.
I didn't think, you know what I mean, like the style of play, it was very... It wasn't very exciting. And then when you've got no options now and you're playing like that, it makes it even worse.